hostage by any one person's knowledge, skills, and abilities, nor would anybody on the crew have to wait 30 years to get a turn on the backhoe. Or wait for the guy to retire or whatever, no, that was out. I mean, so basically what we decided is we're all gonna take a turn, which is really kind of a basic kindergarten lesson that has proved to be very effective for us. Value based on what you know. I mentioned previously already that that was seen as a means of obtaining job security. No, that was out. From this point forward, your value was going to be based on the information that was shared. And by the way, that rule applied to everybody unilaterally throughout all the levels of the organization. So, we lifted the sharing lesson plan probably from first grade and used that to our benefit. And then the last rule that I'm actually going to mention today, because we came up with bunches of these and realized that this was always very informal. It was right there on the spot. I mean, we got frustrated with something and we sat down and said, okay, what's the new rule? So the last one I'm going to mention is basically turning a blind eye to big problems. That was based on the fact that the district has a single feed, a big 21-inch transmission main, big by our standards, that feeds the whole city. And when I first started there, one thing that was emphasized is you don't talk about that 21-inch, you don't look at it, you don't do anything that might jinx it or break it or anything else. I mean, that was just like too scary of a thought. So the new rule was that if it existed in our system, we're going to develop the skill sets to operate, maintain, repair, and replace whatever it is, if possible or practical. And it's amazing what is possible. This became really, really important when we came to realize that the first 3 miles of our transmission main are either directly in or right next to the San Andreas Fault. Yeah. Big bummer. And then the other realization that we had was a lesson that we learned from Katrina. We are the first responders, and we might be the first responders for up to 2 weeks. So, we needed to know where our stuff was. We needed to know how to fix the stuff. So we went about making some organizational changes, and that included forming modular work groups where you have employees with different skill levels and experiences that are assigned to work on the district's various projects, which really promotes collaboration, knowledge sharing, skill development. And then, each person on the crew is rotated into other groups with different assignments, and so everybody on the crew has the ability to learn all aspects of the district's operation. In-house training actually became a very, very essential part of our corporate culture. We recognized that within our operations group, there was a wealth of knowledge and a diverse set of disciplines. And when you consider vendors and manufacturers and subject matter experts from other agencies, that just all broadens the training resource pool that can be used for endless on-site trainings, which we do. The subjects include safety, welding, rigging, water quality, management theory, civil engineering seminars, industrial design, metallurgy, carpentry, engine repair, blueprint reading, and most of this stuff, like I say, is not like this formal class for, okay, this is what we're doing today. No, it's all as we're doing the work. All this knowledge is constantly being transferred and conveyed. And if there's any downtime, hey, let's take advantage of that and let's pick a subject and just really try and develop ourselves. And because of our focus on training and cross-training, basically we ended up developing a bunch of gifted generalists versus the specialist. We had it with a specialist. The interns. I mean, these, it's been mentioned that the youth, I mean, is our future, and that's kind of a no-brainer. And so we actually went about developing well, actually not really developing. I mean, we went out and hired interns to develop our workforce because, I mean, obviously you saw the exodus that had occurred, and so we needed folks. And, you know, hiring interns may seem like it might be very time consuming and cumbersome, but, you know, in actuality, we found that the investment in time was either identical to or less with the interns than hiring someone with the actual skills from some other agencies and possibly bringing in, you know, bad habits or what have you. And then with the interns' enthusiasm and willingness to learn and work, that really offset the equation in favor of the interns. So, you know, we had magnificent luck with these folks. We found that hiring interns actually gave our existing tenured employees the opportunity to be mentors and job coaches. And again, you know, really sometimes the best way to learn is by teaching. And so this thing has just been, you know, really a really effective, wonderful way of getting work accomplished. And then bottom line on the interns is they're inexpensive. I mean, they're paid interns, mind you, just for clarification. I mean, basically an intern to us was somebody that had absolutely, really no job qualifications. I mean, they just needed to, they wanted a job, they wanted to work, they wanted to learn. Okay, now in recognition of the fact that we're developing generalists in our organization, we also recognize that people have their own individual interests and passions and career goals. And so, you know, to help them reach their full potential, we basically do this job performance coaching, which is this continued feedback on employees. I mean, since management has now kind of elected to participate in the field with this whole process, there is no point in waiting for 6 months to pass for a review to occur or something. You know what, there's just back and forth communication right there on the spot. If there's a issue or a weakness, it's like it's addressed right there on the spot. Academic development is constantly encouraged because we recognize that, you know, developing the effective utility workers was really only the first part of the equation. It was only going to be a matter of time before we were going to need supervisors and managers and engineers. And that's true in our agency, that's true in yours. And the thing that might make us a little bit unique is that we actually want our folks to fill these roles both in our agency and your agency. So the concept of having people move up and on from the North Coast County Water District really doesn't make us any different than any other learning community. You know, people graduate and they move on, and that's a good thing. You know, everybody benefits. So lessons learned, I mean, this is a bit of a recap. Creating a new work environment that focuses on the needs of the individual and the organization. And for what it's worth, those things are not mutually exclusive. In fact, just the opposite. Leading by example, which it creates trust by really demonstrating outcomes so that people have the opportunity to buy into change. You know, there's no leap of faith required. Staying focused on tactical and strategic